Hello, this is Erica Merrill, and I'm the founder of Perfect Legal Video. I'm very excited to have with us today Attorney Nicole Reeves Lavallee. She owns a family and real estate law firm in the Worcester, Massachusetts area, and she and her team are fantastic. We are very fortunate to have her with us every week. And today we're going to be talking about a great topic. When should you hire an attorney? And Nicole, I think this is a great topic because a lot of people have never hired an attorney. So this is these are some good things to consider.
Absolutely. I thought it would be beneficial to a majority of people because there's always, is it the right time? Do I really need one? What does that look like? How am I going to afford it? There's all these questions that kind of revolve around it. So let's hopefully get through it.
Yeah, I mean, so this is really good because if you've only looked at what you've heard from your friends and family and neighbors or what you've seen on TV, it might be confusing as to like what you can actually use an attorney for. It's not just if you get accused of murder. Although in family law, you may feel like doing that. Most people can refrain, and that would be a different kind of attorney anyway. But yeah, so let's talk about are there, it's not just if you're going through a divorce. Um, and most people don't realize that if you didn't marry the person, it doesn't mean you're off the hook. And we'll get to that, but I know one of the first things that you said is, you know, you review a lot of documents for people. It's not even necessarily a case that's going in right now. It's just some documentation that they need to have okayed. How much reviewing do you do?
Really depends on what you want me to do. The reality is, I can review lots of things. I can review something that just says, hey, look, this is what's going on. This is what my ex did. Do I have a case? Should I really go into court and ask for a change in custody? Should I ask for more child support? Like, this is the stuff he gave me. This is what I know. So a lot of that is just, do we have something? And then if we have something, what does that look like? Is it something that you need my help with preparing the documents or looking at what you wrote, and does your words meet the standards of a legal document to make that modification or file that contempt or whatever it is you're trying to do? So it's really good to have a set of eyes that knows exactly the key words that you need to put in a document. Or sometimes it's just, hey, we're really doing really well together, and I just want to formalize something, and I never want to go to court again, but can we just draft something up between the two of us? Yes. So there's a lot of different things you can utilize me for in terms of just reviewing, drafting, giving you my 2 cents and why I think that's important. Those are all really good things that I can help you with.
And that's great to know because sometimes you know it's something for the future. And people might be getting along right now and they're going through the process and they're just putting the bare minimum into their documentation on how they want things to look in the future. But you really have to, and what I love that you and your team do is you throw out there, well, what's the worst case scenario? What if all of a sudden you don't agree with them on what's going on with your parenting time over the holidays? What if someone changes things up on you and they go from never being around to always wanting to be around it. I mean, there's a lot of different scenarios where a situation could change. One of the things you used to tell me was once somebody gets a significant other, fresh after a breakup and they're going through the process, sometimes all bets are off and it has to do with the other person. There's just so many different scenarios where things can go wrong. So, like, what are some of the things that you have suggested to people to put on paper that they never thought they would need, and later on they really do need it?
Oh, there's so many things. I think it really boils down to, again, anything that I can come up with. You're right. I'm going to give you that worst case scenario and I'm going to make you think about it. It's kind of like, you're coming to me for a will and you're going to die at some point. We all know that. It's all inevitable. But I go, okay, well, what if this person died that you left the money to? Oh. And what if this person died? And what if and so I'll give you like 25 different scenarios. I'm giving it to you because God forbid, we're all on a cruise together and I'm the only survivor. That happens, and that happens in real life with any kind of case, and especially in family law, because we don't know who that crazy ex is going to be. We don't know whether or not, we're going to continue to have this relationship with one another, and we're going to be co-parents, and we're going to be friendly. So again, I'm going to run through all the gamut of, well, what about this? So give me the holidays, give me the extracurricular activities, give me the dental, give me the orthodontist, give me, the small little things like plays or things, because God forbid there could be some time where there's an active restraining order, or you two can't be in the same room with one another. Who's going to do the parent teacher conferences? Are we going to alternate? There's all of these things, and it's just, what does your child or what does your family look like? And then in a year time frame, what can go wrong? Because I'm going to give you the wrong, and we're going to have to come up with solutions for all of those.
Well, I'll say that I also did my will with you, and I had no idea how many situations we were preparing for. I mean, it was everything. You were killing everyone off. That was basically what was happening. If your sister's gonna die, then who's gonna get your kid? Okay, and then what if that person dies? And then who do you want that's gonna dole out all of the money and the property and make sure the bills are paid? And like, who do you trust? And like, it's amazing, things that you don't think about, because it's just like anything that you do in life. If you've never planned a wedding, you may not know the 10 or 12, things that you're supposed to do to make it special, or, the people you're supposed to call and be prepared for. I mean, I'm planning a wedding, but, like, you have to, when you're planning your death, it's the same thing. And getting divorced, it, it's the same thing. And so you want to work with somebody. You could be the party planner per se of the divorce, and come up with, what you need to know. And I think that is really helpful. Um, you've talked about reviewing documents, and you can't just, like, what if you had a document from the other side? You were trying to do this on your own, but they want you to sign something and you just want an attorney to look at it, not necessarily go to court. Can you do that?
Absolutely. I would encourage that. You never want to sign something. The reality is, again, I've talked about it before, I'll talk about it again. Attorneys are going to put words in there that are going to protect their client. You're going to read something that says, the wife may do this. I'm going to read the words that say, the wife shall do this. Those are two completely different scenarios, different obligations, and the court knows the difference between the two. So you're just reading it. Wife may do this. Of course, you will. Of course. Why wouldn't she? What do you mean? She doesn't have to. It says she will. No, it says she may. Oh. And so you really don't get that sense of every single word counts. Every single word has a legal meaning, even if it's written in plain English. So it's one of those things that I encourage people to read it over. I'm one of those anal retentive people that actually reads the fine print on a contract. Let me tell you, they're boring as all get up. They really are. But I read it because it's important. Because I'm signing my name to this. I'm bound to this. So I'm going to treat it the exact same way that I would with everything else. So of course I'm going to want to read it. Now, again, you're not going to read the terms of services on your phone. You're not going to care. You're going to do whatever you want. But the reality is, this is a binding contract that's going to affect you and your children potentially for the rest of your life. So why would you not want to sit down with an attorney and go through it with a fine-tooth comb and say, okay, I understand each of these terms?
I mean, that's absolutely, you should do that. And you should do that with your prenup. So what are some of the parts of the process that you think might be okay for someone to do on their own?
It really depends on them. There are a lot of people that are very strong and articulate and aren't afraid of the judge. And they feel like maybe the judge is even siding with them. So there's that. There's also of who's the other attorney on the other side, and are they going to be a bully until they get you to cave? So those are kind of the factors I want to look at. Is it something that you're going in on a simple motion to compel, where I'm going to tell you the judge is going to give you this date, they're going to make you comply? Is it a motion to amend? Great, we can all do those in our sleep, even pro se. So again, it depends on what you're going into court for. Is there an appropriate time? In my opinion, the appropriate time is in the beginning, because then the attorney knows all of the nuances in the entire case and isn't trying to get caught up to speed. But there's certainly times where you can go in by yourself and you can make the argument, and you can make it very well. And sometimes you don't even need us, you just need our guidance. So really depends on what's before the court at that particular moment as to whether you need an attorney.
I mean, it's interesting that you say that too, because if you're with somebody from the beginning and they know your whole story, one would think that it is easier. And probably in most cases, if you have the right attorney, it is. But what if you want to change your attorney? Is that possible as well?
You can absolutely change your attorney at any point in time. The only concern that I have is, why do you want to do it? And more importantly, will a new attorney take you on? So it's just something to be aware of, is you're going to have to articulate to, in most cases, the second attorney and say, well, I want to get rid of my attorney because. And if you don't have a valid reason, or if, the new attorney seems to think, this woman's out of her mind, like, I'm not touching with this with a 10-foot pole. Or if you tell me, hey, lawyer John Smith, who I've known for 30 years, is ignoring you and treating you like crap, and I'm going, he doesn't have that bone in his body. So again, you kind of have to deal with that, because we know the people in our community. We know the attorneys that we're dealing with on a regular basis. We know whether or not that attorney is difficult or not difficult. So we're going to have to take a look at that as the second attorney or the third attorney coming in going, okay, so what was wrong? And sometimes it's just personality conflict. Sometimes it's something different. But yes, the end of the day is, yes, you can switch at any point in time. The question is it beneficial to you? And will the new attorney want to take that role on? Because that is two things that you have to consider. You need to look like them, and they need to like you.
And that's true. I mean, you would think that, it's just going here for the service. It's not a robot. You're not a robot, they're not a robot, but certain things need to happen. And I know that some clients are probably super annoying and calling you all the time and not getting their work done that they're supposed to do. And that it causes a lot of extra work for you and your staff, probably. And and that leads me to the next question. Can your attorney fire you?
They can. They have to go through a process, but yes, they can fire you. And I have really only fired my client on very limited occasions. One was that my client was literally taking up 30 hours of my week every week, and I'm like, I can't afford this. I have other clients. I'm neglecting my other clients because you just need me 24/7. And maybe if you were a billionaire, I could do that. But you're not a billionaire, and I need to pay all my bills, and I need to satisfy all my clients, and I can't do that, and I can't hire somebody else because I'm focused on you. So that was one case that I had that issue. And the other cases are when clients usually drop off the planet. Hello, Erica, can you call me? Hello, Erica, I've sent you 5 text messages. Hello, we've picked up the phone. We've sent you letters. What are you doing? Are you there? Are you alive? And we run into that situation where we're like, Your Honor, I don't even know what their position is. And so that puts us in a position, because I don't know. What's Erica's position? I have no idea. And so now I'm kind of guessing. And maybe you show up that morning of court and you tell me, but I've got to submit a memo 3 days in advance. And I've got to be able to make this argument. And you're basically cutting me off at the knees if you just show up at court and go, yeah, what's going on? Okay. So you've got to remember that. So those are the types of cases where, as attorneys, we definitely want to withdraw, because we're not doing a service to you. We're not doing a service to our firm. We're not doing a service for anyone else of our employees or anything else going on. So we really have to withdraw, because it's creating basically a hostile environment.
Well, you're trying to run a business. And you don't want to look bad either. I mean, it doesn't make you look good if you show up unprepared because you didn't get the information from your client that you were, basically calling and calling and calling, and that's really bad for you. You want the judges to like you and look at your skill as an attorney and your preparedness. So let's say that turns out to be the reality. Your attorney fires you. Do you get some of your money back? Do they help point you in the right direction for wherever you are in your case? Do they talk to the new attorney? I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty there if you do get fired in the middle of a case.
Well, first and foremost, the attorney has to let you know, and the attorney has to file a motion to withdraw. And there's going to be a court date. So it's not automatic. It's you have an opportunity to go to the judge and say, nope, I refuse to let Nicole out of the case. And the judge will ask you why, and we'll have a conversation about it, and the judge will make a determination. You also have the right to go, hey, I got this notice. Obviously, I need to go find other counsel. One of the things that we're always putting in our motions and we're obligated to do is give you a copy of your file. So we're happy to give you a copy of the file. We're happy to give it to successor counsel. We're not trying to cut you off at the knees. We're happy to at least direct you to other resources. So, a lot of times people will refer to the Worcester County Bar Association. Go talk to them. Or there's a list at the courthouse that gives you LAR services. Maybe that would be more appropriate. So we'll give you general things. We're probably not going to refer another attorney that we know because, again, if we're withdrawing, we're saying that you're not a fit for us. And it doesn't mean that you're going to be a fit for somebody that we know. So a lot of times we'll refer you to general list where you can go and do your own research.
I mean, and that's good. And it may not even be that you were a bad client. It might be that, that attorney just has too many clients and they have to let some go, or maybe they're retiring, or maybe they're moving. I mean, there's other reasons that somebody might have to make you find a new attorney.
Yeah, and generally, if there is an issue like that, like you're retiring or there's a medical issue or you're too busy, a lot of times they will give recommendations and they will say, hey, John Smith is taking over my caseload. You can go to him, or sometimes attorneys become judges. And so that's a fine reason. And usually they'll say, well, we're giving all of our cases to John Smith. And so, if we have an introduction, we suggest that you two talk. I'm happy to send over your files. But certainly, again, it's up to you as to whether or not you like that new attorney.
So, getting back to doing a little bit yourself and having your attorney help you out, can you do represent yourself in a contempt and then hire an attorney for a modification?
Difficult question. The reality is, it depends. In limited circumstances, you can't. So generally speaking, you're going to go in front of the same judge, and the judge is going to look at you and go, well, wait a minute, you have an attorney. Why are you doing this pro se? The exception to that rule is, well, my attorney is limited assistance representation. So they're only hired for the modification through pretrial. They're only hired for this one hearing date. They're done at the end of that hearing date. Then in that situation, the court can't say anything, and you absolutely have the right to do it. So it all depends on what type of representation you have and how you're going to utilize that. So you can do it, but it's going to be difficult unless you have the right attorney who's going to be able to educate you and tell you what the pros or cons are, and more importantly, whether or not your filing is even going to be allowed. Because if you do have a modification and there's full representation, a lot of the times the court will kick it back and go, you can't file a contempt. Go have your attorney do it.
Wow. And so this question it seems like it would be very difficult, but you were just saying that you can hire somebody for just that day in court. What if it's a trial? What if this whole time, and sometimes cases never go to trial. It's actually not the majority of the cases in court, as I understand it. So maybe you didn't know it was going to go to trial, and now you're like, uh-oh. Can you just hire somebody for the trial after you've been in court trying to do everything yourself?
You can. It all depends on whether that attorney is going to want to do it. Again, depends on how complicated the trial is. If it's a trial on child support and you're both W-2 employees and there's no question about either of you hiding assets or income, great. Most attorneys can do that in their sleep. And then you have the other complicated thing of, well, we want to remove the child from the Commonwealth and we want supervised parenting time. And, there's all these other issues. Well, the attorney might get a little twitchy and go, I'm not sure that I want to take that on. But maybe I want to take it on if that trial is scheduled for 9 months down the road. So it's a month down the road, I'm not taking that. I'm not even thinking about taking it. But again, if it's 9 months and I'm starting now and I'm getting all that documents and discovery isn't complete, sure, I'd take that case. So it really depends on what the facts are, what the contested issues are. I have seen attorneys who have come in on day 2 of a trial. Day 1 was pro se, day 2 was an attorney. And I'm going, okay, my opinion, never do that. Malpractice. I don't know why any attorney would. And in that particular case, the attorney didn't even listen to the transcript of day 1 trial. So I think that's a really, really bad idea. That's not who I am. I would never do that. So unfortunately, if the trial's already started, you're on your own from my perspective. But I certainly can also give you tidbits. I can help you behind the scenes. I can help you formulate questions and look at the documents again in a different light, in an attorney light, and go, well, this word says this, and this says this. So why don't we ask these questions? And I've actually been successful in helping people formulate the questions, deal with attorneys that were not so pleasant, and really kind of bullyish. And my client ultimately won their case. And it was because we set her up for success. We gave her the questions, and all she had to do was ask the questions.
And that's a great point, because I'm sure a lot of people see on TV how if a new attorney comes in, they say, "Oh, judge, we're going to need 2 months to prepare for this." I mean, does that happen, or are they just like, "No, sorry, you weren't prepared. You tried to do this yourself, and now it's too late to bring in a pinch hitter"?
95% of the time, it's not allowed. Will it be allowed in certain circumstances? Yes. It also depends on the other attorney. The other attorney's like, I don't care. Like, I know you just got on 2 weeks ago. I know you're not going to be ready. I'm fine with continuing it. Then yes, it will be continued. But if I'm like, hell no, we've been waiting a year for this court date. My client is prepared. I brought witnesses from out of state. I've got all the documents. They didn't comply with the court order. Then I'm going to fight that tooth and nail. And 9 times out of 10, the judge is going to say, we're proceeding accordingly, counsel. And you will show up for trial, or you will be prepared, or you won't. And I will be happy if you're not prepared.
Well, in that case, it works to your advantage if the other side isn't prepared that way and they've been trying to do it on their own, which is a really good reason to hire Nicole's firm if you have any cases going into court, because you don't want to be stuck later on in need of help when it's too late and nobody wants to get involved. It's so much easier if you can get in from the beginning. I mean, when I went into your office, I had no idea what my financials were. I like so many questions, and you and your team were able to like walk me through what I needed to get together for documentation and information I needed to know and where I could find some of it. And it's super helpful. It's so calming. It is so much different than going into a situation that you've never been in before and having no idea how to deal with it. Hey, you got someone on your side that's in court doing it every day, and they do it in a nice way, and they're professional and they're very skilled. And so that's what I think of you, Nicole.
Thank you very much. And I try to do that because I think we all have that situation where we're going, oh my God, I really didn't know that was all the things that are entailed in whatever profession. And I just had a conversation with a client yesterday about HVAC. Like, I don't know anything about HVAC systems, but I had to learn it because I needed to write questions about his particular case. And so I need to know what I'm talking about. And I know that that's what every client feels when they walk through the door, because I'm talking up here and you're going, what? Oh, last 3 years of bank statements. Oh, okay, that I understand. But when I say Rule 410, you're like, is this woman out of her mind? And so, again, it's talking to the clients in such a way that they understand what exactly I'm talking about and what they need. And I just had a client today who says, thank you so much for dumbing it down. My other attorney has been with me for a year and he never told me this is what I needed. That's all I need. I'm like, yep. And she walked out of here and she's like, I need, how much do I need to pay you today? Because I'm just so excited because I have a game plan and I know what I need to do versus, oh my God, somebody's suing me.
I mean, that's exactly what it is. It's just like someone pulled the plug on something, you have no idea how to turn the light on. I mean, it's someone dies, you lose your house. I mean, there's a lot of situations in life. You get divorced, you go through a breakup, you've got kids, you don't know where you're gonna live, you don't know how much money you have. It's so great to have somebody that knows the answers to your questions. It's as simple as that. It takes you from a super high stress level to, you know what? Now I've got a plan and I can do this.
Absolutely. And I think that's the key thing. That's what we always try to do is we'll get through it one step at a time, one day at a time, one court date. We're going to get through it. And at the end of the day, clients tell me all the time, that was so much easier. Well, it is because we understood the process. When you're educated about what needs to happen, it puts you at ease.
Well, I want to thank you again for coming on and talking to us about this. I know that we were kind of on the same wavelength, so I had suggested we talk about when do you need to fire your attorney, and you had written some questions on when we need to hire an attorney. So next week we're going to talk about what happens when things go wrong and what can go wrong with an attorney. Like you need to know what the red flags are so that you have the right representation for you. It may not just be personality, it might be that you're not getting the information you need, or they're not dumbing it down enough, or there's a lot of things that we're going to talk about next week regarding when you should find a new attorney. Thanks everyone for coming on, for watching, and thank you so much, Nicole, for coming on. I hope you have a great weekend.